Microsoft revealing some new data today about its workplace messaging software Teams and how it holds up to rivals like Slack. Let's get to Josh Lipton in San Francisco with more on this. Hey, Josh.
Melissa, Teams is Microsoft's response to Slack, and Satya Nadella's company just released some big new stats showing its traction, saying that the Teams service now reaches more than 13 million daily active users, ahead of Slack's last reported number, 10 million in the 3 months ended on January 31st. Microsoft providing this chart showing the growth. Microsoft, remember, includes Teams in its Office 365 bundle at no additional charge. As for Slack, it made its debut on the New York Stock Exchange on June 20th, surging about 50% on its first day, but even before this news was down about 10% since then. The company can't comment due to quiet period restrictions, but worth noting, when it reported results back in June, it had 645 paid customers with over $100,000 in annual recurring revenue, an 84% increase from a year earlier, and that large customers accounted for 43% of total revenue. It also stresses how engaged its users are. For example, it's noted in the past that on a typical workday, paid customers average more than 90 minutes using the product. So bottom line, is Microsoft a Slack slayer? D.A. Davidson's Rishi Jaluria doesn't think so. He says Slack does have strengths of its own, a strongly liked product, unique features. It's the tech industry's favorite communication tool, he says, and it's a neutral platform, meaning it's designed to work well with any tool, whether that's from Microsoft, Google, or Salesforce. And Jaluria still considers Slack a possible takeover target, too, if CEO Stuart Butterfield is willing to sell, he says. Melissa, back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you. Josh Lipton in San Francisco. Dan, how deep is Slack's moat?
Well, I think it's deep among that tech community, but when you think about where Microsoft is and you think about the transition they've had to the business, to the cloud over the last 5-6 years since Satya Nadella has really taken over, you say to yourself, they have thousands and thousands of customers that are already there and they can just upsell them this new product. But Slack, I think to Josh's point, or whoever the analyst he was quoting, if Google didn't have this regulatory issue, I think they'd be buying Slack and they'd put Stuart Butterfield ahead of their enterprise division and build out G Suite and build out all this sort of stuff. That's coming to a theater near you, I think, when these guys have the government off their backs a little bit.
I mean, Microsoft with LinkedIn, I would think, would be a natural. I mean,
absolutely.
Right? It could upsell.
I actually think this looks really bad for Slack, and the reason I say that is they've already passed them in terms of the numbers, 13 million versus 10 million, right? So, I mean, that's part of the issue. But I think they've got all the money in the world to be able to throw it if they want to. They can offer it out there as part of the rest of the package. And it kind of reminds me of the days of when Zuckerberg was sitting there and tried to buy Snap. They didn't want to sell. So what did he do? He got Instagram and he immediately attacked, and then he went on the offensive there, and he's absolutely won that war. I think Microsoft's in the same position now. And by the way, when's Slack going to make money? They don't make any money. When's it going to happen? It's like Uber. It's like a lot of these names where how long into the future, how much money are they going to be burning while everybody's waiting for them to make money and be profitable?
Dan makes a good point in terms of swiping at an issue that we talked about in the first block of the show, and that is, are the giant tech companies, are they handcuffed from doing these acquisitions, which would have been run-of-the-mill acquisitions in another time, but now they can't do it. They're going to be looked at as too big.
But does it in the case of Microsoft, doesn't matter. I mean, they've already turned their boat around, 2.5, 3 years ago.
For an Alphabet?
For Google's a different animal, I think, and Google's paying for that in terms of its multiple, in terms of the stock performance over the last 6 to 9 months. But Microsoft, getting back to what Pete said quickly, they report on the 18th of July. Pete said again, Cowen initiated today with an outperform $150 price target. Yeah, that might be the case, but you're looking at it, and you said it. I mean, valuation, you're getting close to 29 times next year's earnings. You probably have, 13% EPS growth. At what point is this stock expensive? I think it's getting there.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I think Microsoft has to blow Slack out of the water. Because if you think about it, I think a significant part of their business is commoditized and is enterprise, and there's a ton of competition there. So why not have this be an extra, kind of piece of that enterprise package that sets them apart? They don't need to buy them.